Catching an impulse is basically catching yourself in the midst of making a decision. Welcome back to the Junior Mints podcast. This podcast is here to help you guys navigate life while also helping you guys see the fun sides of life as well. My name is Finn Lawler. I'm your host. Let's jump right in. Here we go. In today's episode, we'll be talking about impulses. When I say impulse, I'm referring to the negative impulses, like the impulse of checking social media constantly. We've all been there. I'm referring to controlling your brain and recognizing when an impulse happens. So, here we go. First thing you want to do, I would say, is catch the impulse. Let's say you're just sitting around and you suddenly feel the impulse to order Domino's randomly. I mean, no shame with that. Honestly, I've been doing that for the last 3 weeks. Whoops. Um, I order it constantly. I order Domino's constantly. It's pretty bad. But let's say that you suddenly feel the impulse to have Domino's. You go to order and then you stop and go, hold on, I don't need Domino's. I have food here. That's also a meme where it's like, can we get McDonald's? No, we have food at home. And then it just says the food at home and it's just some random garbage. No, I'm kidding. It's usually healthier food at home. So, kids, when your parents say, hey, we have food at home, trust them. The food at home is much better for you, pretty much, than Domino's or McDonald's. So, excuse me. Um, yeah, sometimes it's like, yo, I want some like Taco Bell or something, right? But then I'm driving home and I'm thinking, like, you know what? I technically don't need Taco Bell. I have like chips and stuff like that. So, really, the point is here, you need to recognize when the impulse is happening. And a lot of the times we don't know when it's happening to us. So it's just one of those things that our brain kind of does to us where it goes, oh, you know what sounds good in this very moment? That. But you really don't need that, you know? So catching an impulse is basically catching yourself in the midst of making a decision, whether it's good, bad. Sometimes you might have an impulse to go to the gym. See, that's one of those positive impulses. I almost said influences. Well, that too, but that's one of those positive impulses that you need to follow into. Like, hey, yeah, maybe I should go to the gym, or maybe I need to go on a run or something. That's one of those impulses that kind of goes, oh, yeah, no, that makes total sense. But today we're talking about the negative impulses. But yeah, basically, it's when your brain goes off. An impulse is when your brain goes off and goes, hey, do this, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of science behind it, but I'm not a scientist and I'm not really a psychologist either. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. Yeah, basically. So pretty much when you catch an impulse, you might want to find the origin of that impulse. So often when we feel an impulse to look at like social media, for example, think about the reason why you're looking at that social media, like that person's Instagram or Snapchat, right? Perhaps it could be because you're bored and you want a way out, or you want like a way to pass the time, right? My question is, where does the impulse in your brain come from to suddenly want to check that person's stories, right? It could be for a number of reasons. My theory is it's because you're bored, right? Like oftentimes when I'm bored, I often reach for my phone, which holding right now, ironically. And I reach for my phone just because I'm bored because there's like a pause in the day. But really, there are so many things that you could be doing, so many more productive things than looking at somebody's profile. And yes, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it. I'm totally guilty of this. 100%. It's because it's like when there's a minute of boredom, it's kind of like, oh, let's go to our phones. Like, no, like, we're all human. We're gonna make mistakes, to be honest with you, and that's okay. And I'm not saying checking social media is a bad thing. What I'm saying is constantly doing it where it's getting in the way of your daily life. that might be a little excessive, but that's another episode. Point is, though, ask yourself, back to impulses here, ask yourself why you're feeling that impulse, you know? Sometimes you can't stop yourself, and just like I said, and that's okay. And this is just a way for your brain to function, and this is just what your brain is doing. We're all humans. Don't beat yourself up for having the impulse to check your friend's Snapchat stories. Literally don't. I'm just one of those people that gets very OCD, I think, about doing that where I start to become aware, oh, is it too much? So this is not a guilt trip or anything. It's just like, okay, just like it's one of those awareness checks, you know what I'm saying? So, and as I said before, not all impulses are bad. So when you think about it, impulses are basically snap decisions. Not all snap decisions are bad. Like if you're feeling spontaneous, for example, and you're going to go downtown or something or go walk around, those kind of snap decisions are good because I think they're positively influencing you. I mean, unless you're going, anyway, you're going to do something that's supposedly just uh, positive and like beneficial for you. Forgot the word there for a second. However, things like the impulses that suggest, hey, I want to go smoke weed real quick or something, or I want to go watch this porno. It's like, hold on a second. Like, then it's kind of start to, then you have to kind of be like, yo, why is my brain suggesting those things? Suggesting that we do those things, you know? And normally, the reason why our brains suggest stuff like that, it's because we're either bored or we're missing something or we crave something that we think we can get with one substance, but really we need an actual human being or a better solution to deal with that impulse. So I guess putting it more clearly, I think let's say that I brought this up on a previous episode, right? Let's say you're struggling with like a porn addiction, right? It's a classic addiction that a lot of people do struggle with. I did for a while. Point is though, the reason you struggle with that addiction, we'll just say, is because you're lacking something, right? And it's like, what are you missing? You know, there's something in your life that you need, and more often than not, probably the solution besides God for that addiction is a partner, right? So your brain, it's kind of like so back to impulses for a second. So the impulses are like the chain reactions, you know, and point is those impulses. It's like okay, check the one box and it goes to the next, and so impulses. I'll just negate what I was saying a second ago because I lost track. No big deal. But the point is, impulses happen because your brain needs something. Maybe you need something. I'll leave it at that. I tried to talk about it in a more in-depth area, but I got lost because I'm mentally tired from a long work day. But who knows? Who cares? Whatever. But if you're going to take anything away from this episode, it's that impulses are basically a gateway into saying, "Hey, you need something," or maybe you don't need something. Anyway, um, before I wrap up here, one way that you can, you know, eradicate some negative impulses is to pray. Pray to God, because He's always listening. And when you speak out loud for about the impulse that you're feeling, He'll hear it. And that will establish some accountability because when you speak out loud about an impulse that you're feeling, it leaves your body. And the second that impulse leaves your body, accountability is made. Does that kind of make sense? Where if it's just if there's no accountability, if it's still in your heart and you haven't said anything about it, you know? So another way you can help with an impulse, I think this is one of the better solutions, is that you can change your current environment, right? If you're about to indulge in a bad habit of doom scrolling on your phone, simple fix: put your phone down, leave the apartment or leave the house for a little bit, go on a walk. And when you change the environment, your brain kind of goes, "Oh, We're in a different space. I don't need my phone. That kind of makes sense. So, granted, I understand that it's easier said than done when it comes to controlling and regulating your impulses. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I have plenty of impulses that I need to get under control, but we're all humans. We're all humans just trying our best. And when we try our best, that makes us happy and that makes the Lord happy. Anyway, this has been the Junior Mints podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you enjoyed it, please drop a like, subscribe down below, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.